being sensible.
Yeah, I would say so.
Are we?
No, we're not going to start being
sensible for.
because we're streaming.
We have to be sensible. We're streaming code.
We're streaming code.
Ugh.
And anyway, Brooke doesn't like swearing because he's Australian.
That is the most bizarre sentence.
Fucking eh? It's the most ridiculous sentence I ever heard in my entire fucking life.
Are you trying to prompt me to swear?
No, I don't think it's doable. I think you're too defensive at this point. You've gone all weird. And PC.
I have.
Right then.
I do like the look of your caricature.
Oh good, nobody else can see it, so...
I think we should deploy them. Do we need to tip that forward a bit more?
We've got a bit much root there, don't we?
How's that? That's
Everyone will
us.
be able to see me tweeting.
Cool. Alright, it's 1 o'clock, so welcome everybody. Brooke and Margaret.
Margaret
and
over here.
Huh.
So watching the screen. Brooke and Margaret and Matt from Stickmen Media. So we're streaming the development of our zombie survival horror game After the Light. Today we've actually got Matt here to talk about setting up the websites. So websites are for
We've got ads. That's yay.
marketing, etc. Marketing and support. So without any further ado, I'll start the movie in the background. And we should be able to hand it over to Matt. What are we doing here, Matt?
So we've got the basic WordPress install set up here. This is setting up the theme that we've installed, just adding a extra limit on the memory, as recommended by the people that made the theme.
The thing with the thing and the thing?
Yeah, just basically going through, following all the directions on the theme. I haven't actually got it on the page there. I've got it on the other screen. I should have had it on this page.
That's right. The whole movie's like this. It's on the wrong page for the whole movie.
Yeah.
It's not actually. There's some good stuff in the movie.
Yeah. So this would have just been fiddling with setup and settings and whatnot over on the WordPress dashboard. I think at a later point in the video I do actually bring the dashboard over onto this screen.
Yeah, I should point out that the guys, as they're recording this, they usually work with two screens, but of course in OBS we're just recording one screen, so whenever there's anything significant they sort of have to drag things backwards and forwards between the recorded screen and the other screen. And there's also long gaps in all these movies, as people tend to wander off and go and get themselves a coffee or go to the bathroom or whatever, and occasionally they'd just be doing a whole lot of research on another screen and you don't get to see anything at all while they're researching.
So
There was a lot of research involved.
Stream.
There was a lot of research involved in this project.
I think Sergi and Linda have sort of got the hang of it now, but yeah.
They're the only ones.
Yeah, so there's a few traps that we've fallen into a couple of times. Oh, so here you're looking at some reference sites.
This is the default install actually of the theme.
Okay.
So this is before we've customized any of the images, any of the layout at all, the menu, all that sort of stuff.
So Call of Shooter is not our game.
No, no. This is just the default, whatever, stock garbage.
Yeah.
But we liked the layout, the full width, large image at the top, the layout of the way the menu's set up.
Do you actually had a lot of input here, Margaret? Because you sort of gave the design brief for this.
Well, we had the whole studio sit down and look at a bunch of choices for themes and exactly what we were going to set up and lay out and whatnot. And this is the one that I think got the most
votes. Oh, okay, so this was a very democratic decision then.
No.
I know, for once I really wasn't that much involved.
Well, I mean, there was the initial one that Margaret set up, and we did pull a lot from that original design, but also not that much. Oh yeah, so this is where I started working in the this window with the WordPress dashboard.
So these are probably not the screens to show the login screens.
No, probably not.
We might want to change our username after this show.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. This won't be the same username.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
This is still all local on my machine, so if you're not in the building, or if you're not in the room, you can't get to it anyway.
Ah, very good. All right, so perfectly safe at this point.
People can try that all they like. It's not going to go anywhere. Just rearranging the dashboard to make it actually make sense.
That's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
So how much attention do we pay to the dashboard? Does it get looked at regularly?
Should be.
I know on my my Clockwork Assassin website, couldn't remember what the thing was called. I don't think I've looked at the dashboard in a year. It seems to update itself and do all sorts of things to itself, but not with much involvement from me, which is a bit of a shame because it is supposed to have weekly content from me.
This one should have weekly content.
It should do. I mean, we've got lots of stuff to post, especially about the Twitch stream and things like that.
It will do, indeed. Yeah. It should, it will, it must.
Indeed. Fresh content weekly.
So this is a visual editor for the web page. So rather than diving right into the code, you've got sort of widgets you can stick on the page and then fill them out and edit what's in them and all that sort of good stuff.
Now, how do you find working with WordPress as opposed to working with sites where we've created them all ourselves?
WordPress is a lot faster, but you've got a lot less control, I found. And you can do a lot less in terms of the really interesting technical bits. This is just me trying to figure out, because this is the first time I've used this editor. This is just me trying to go through, figure out what the heck I'm doing, how it all works. But WordPress is great for getting something done really, really quickly. But it's not, I don't think it's ideal for if you want to do something technical, unless you really, really start diving deep into writing your own plugins for it, editing the theme like in a brutal fashion.
Yeah. Alright, so I can see the after the light actual text going in, and I just briefly saw a picture.
Background.
Yeah, a background that's from our concept art, but probably from a point in the Clockwork Assassin.
That was I think it was the second piece that Lincoln ever did for us.
Yes.
That particular one. It was on the Wix site, so that's why I was using it early on. I don't think we actually have that on there anymore in any spot.
No, I think we've got a cave thing on there.
Yeah, we've got the player character shooting a zombie with a couple of other zombies in the background.
Yeah,
which looks really nice as well.
It does look nice. Zombies shooting, no, not zombies shooting zombies. Characters shooting zombies. It always looks nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Zombies being shot. It's a good thing.
Yeah. So just to alleviate some confusion that might be happening out there, we actually have two games that we are considering all the time. So After the Light is really this was to get something, to test ourselves, to get something really beautiful out to the market about the world that that the game is set in. The full game, if you like, or the full story that we keep alluding to, is the Clockwork Assassin, which is this really steampunk Victorian zombie shooter that we've been envisaging for years, that we've wanted to make. And there's one part in that story where the characters have to go down through some catacombs, and what we've done is we've created the game that's just around that journey through the catacombs. So you'll probably see bits and pieces of visual art that is all about the wider game, but what we're trying to do, at least when we stream here, and now when we're actually marketing, is we're just trying to do stuff from the After the Light story. So stuff that's in caves with zombies, or in catacombs with zombies, and a single player character.
Lovely description.
Thank you. Yeah, just thought I'd... So yeah, so you can see that bottom picture there that's coming in. That's actually from the wider world. That's actually that's before they descend into the catacombs. They're actually in the graveyard.
But Matt's working so fast, you can't even see it.
Well, I think we've got
it's
5
split up.
hours compressed into 1 hour here, so it's going to fly by.
I shouldn't tell anybody that. Other guys are just so fucking impressive.
Call of the Shooter, not our game.
No, not anyone's game. It doesn't exist.
No. Be a pretty rubbish title if, if it was.
So this editor for WordPress, you've got that sort of choice between this layout editor, where you can see everything as it's going, or this one here, where it's just sort of components. I think this one you've got quite a lot more control over the columns, and you do a lot more when you're focused on the text and the content there. But the other one, you get a really good feel for when you're putting in an element that has a number of options. You can sort of just go through the options and see exactly what's going on with each of them as you're going. And I don't know that that's recorded because I only did it this morning, but I did that with the media gallery.
Yep.
Just flicking through all the different choices on that, going, okay, what does this look like? What does this look like? Which one do I like? What's ugly? What's not?
So I see some weird pictures popping up every now and then. There was one of Lincoln with his anatomical doll, and there was one of Sergi smiling at us.
Was there?
Yeah. It kept popping up on the window, so it looks like they were embedded in the site at one point.
Oh yeah. There's a great picture of Lincoln with the headset with the eyeballs on.
Yes.
Next to his
So
anatomical doll.
that's on our studio page.
Yeah.
We need some more pictures for that because that's the only one we've got right now. We'll put the caricatures on there at some point.
We're doing this in a bit of an ad hoc way. Normally with web design you'd want to be a little bit tighter about the design of it and the content of it, but it's kind of just the way it's going at the moment, with everybody busy on other things.
Well, it's very much a work in progress, this, I think. It's just sort of, okay, we need this, so let's get started on it.
That's it. And it will grow.
Yeah.
Organically, like weeds. Fortunately, we have web development talent in-house.
We do.
So we can do that. Kind of also makes us less organised as well, 'cause we don't have to be that organised.
No.
Oh, actually, I should point both ways because you've actually run a web design company, so
I did.
yeah.
You wouldn't think so, the way we're building this one. Well, no, the building of it's fine. It's the designing part that's a bit fucked up. Ask about face.
Indeed. Right, so what's this panel? Oh, so this is...
Choosing pictures for the
We're
gallery.
adding more images into the image carousel here.
Okay.
It's really tiny. There we go. So that was the initial image carousel I went with, but I think it's a little bit different to that one now.
Okay.
Using a different one, the plugin slider rather than the just default one, because the plugin one gets you a lot more options.
Okay, what do you think about using plugins in WordPress?
I
I've always
think
been told to steer away from too many plugins.
plugins in WordPress isn't too bad. I think you do need to you need to be cautious about how many you're using, about what version they support. When you're looking at them, you want to look at what is their support like. Do they update their plugin regularly? What's their rating like? How many installs they got? How many reviews have they got? When did they get them? You do have to be fairly discerning about it, but it's quite useful if someone's already done the job for you, rather than reinvent the wheel and
Absolutely.
borrow someone's wheel and stick it on your vehicle.
What about updating?
Updating's pretty smooth with WordPress, but generally I would say you don't usually update anything straight away, even WordPress itself.
Don't want to be the canary down the mine.
Yeah, you give it a week or two, see how things are going, and then look at doing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
See if everybody else is screaming on the internet.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody else for a week or so is just waiting.
Yeah. So
Well-
then you wait for another week.
all the people with the automated ones aren't waiting.
No, that's true. So,
Sometimes trying to figure out these plugins can be a pain though. When you're looking around at the settings, going, right, where is this thing that I want to do? How does this particular person, this particular plugin do this thing that I want to do? Like this one that we're looking at here, you have to. There's sort of like a multi-tab system for individual slides as to how you go about setting up the images that are on there, and what size they are, what shape they are, how it displays them, and then there's a separate tab for options for the entire slider, and so on and so forth. And there's some of it's well documented and some of it's not, and that's fairly standard, unfortunately.
Okay. So I saw some images of King Leon there and the bony soldier.
The bony sniffer.
No, he's not the sniffer. I didn't
No.
see the sniffer.
He's not the sniffer. I think we do have a bit of concept art of the sniffer on the gallery page now.
Do we? Oh, cool.
I just like saying it.
Oh yeah, there they go. And then one scene in the cave as well.
Oh, so that picture of Sergi isn't a picture of Sergi. It's the embedded video playlist from YouTube of all our live streams.
Ah, right.
Because
So,
all our live streams will be on the website.
indeed. So yes, if you've missed anything that's already aged out of Twitch, you should be able to pick it up on YouTube by going through our website.
Or just going to YouTube.
Indeed.
You can't go through the website yet because the website's not live, but
No.
eventually.
Yes. Eventually.
Eventually, very soon.
Eventually means probably next week, I hope.
All right. So it looks like somebody's questioned us on something.
We like that.
That looks German.
Okay.
That does in fact appear to be German.
It is. All right. So who's the first to translate to see what that person is actually asking?
Something or other music. Something or other music.
All right. So you keep talking. I'm going to translate that.
Talk amongst yourselves. Any idea what that says? Do you want to bet on what that says?
I'm going to bet that there's music in my video somehow.
Might well be.
No, I stripped out all the audio. So
Okay, well there you go.
Okay, now what?
I think I disabled all the audio when I was recording anyway.
Maybe he's saying there should be music.
Maybe there should be music. Benny Hill music.
Dad.
For the speed.
For the really fast
Yeah,
thing.
truly. Well, this is how fast we always develop websites, though, Matt. Right?
No?
What are you doing?
He's
Trying to
typing in.
read what he says. Okay. So it's not getting a chance to translate it because iPhone is actually translating it before I get to put it in. So
iPhone is silly.
Okay, so we've come to a screaming halt.
All right, you
It
two
seems
keep
like a
talking.
very, very simple sentence.
I
to
said,
me.
you two keep talking and I
We
will
were.
translate it.
We were.
Yeah.
All right, carry on then.
So we seem to have reached a pause here. Probably just researching something on the other screen again. There was a lot of research involved in this particular website. I spent a lot of time looking at the documentation for the theme, the documentation for the plugins, the websites of other games that were probably in the same sphere as indie games, zombie games, that sort of thing. Went through my whole Steam library looking at everything that matched that sort of category and went, hang on, I don't actually have very many of those, despite the fact that I have 400 games.
Oh my god.
That's not many.
Not many.
No, a friend of mine's got 1,200.
Holy fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a decent library.
He doesn't buy anything that's not on sale. And
A lot of games out there.
quite a chunk of his stuff has come from Humble Bundle.
Bloody hell.
And you pick up like 10 games for $1 or something.
This is
Yes.
very frustrating. How do I turn off Apple actually trying to translate this before?
By
So-
going to Google search.
Something you and I have talked about quite a bit is that often games sites kind of break a whole bunch of rules that you normally would not even contemplate breaking with other kinds of websites. The complexity of them, the visual complexity of them seems to be just
It depends.
out
It
there.
depends on where you go.
Unless it's the forest,
Unless it's the forest. The
which
forest,
is the simplest, most basic.
Yeah, I think it's actually the default WordPress thing.
Yeah. And so cool that the game's been so successful like that. I think that's
Well-
a whole other level of cool, really.
The trick with the forest is it came up through the Steam Greenlight system.
Yeah.
And that's an entire community thing in and of itself. There's
So the website was
the
incidental.
website was basically irrelevant.
Yeah.
You don't need a website. If you're going up through that, you're looking at a community of millions
Yeah.
that can potentially see what you're doing.
Indeed.
Whereas if you've got your own website, it's
You've got to make it count.
whoever's looking at your website.
Indeed. So that complexity thing just absolutely always blows me away, though. There's so much to look at and so many places to go, and there doesn't seem to be any particular visual hierarchy, and there's a hell of a lot going on. There's moving stuff. And
There's absolutely visual hierarchy.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it depends on the game that you're looking at.
yeah.
It depends on the genre you're looking at. Quite a lot of games will have lots and lots of moving pieces, but some of them won't.
Right.
And a lot of it does come back to the studio and the game as to what they want to do, how they want to tie it to their game. A great example is Don't Starve. Their website is really, really simple. It's really, it's following the art style of the game,
Makes sense.
which is sort of everything's sort of hand pencil drawn.
Yeah.
And there's very little movement in it other than this parallaxing banner at the top, and that's it. The rest of it's just all about the game. There's a trailer, there's a buy now button.
So it more sort of visually represents the game than a whole lot of information and a whole lot of options.
Yeah, well, there is a fair bit of information there, but they're not trying to overwhelm you with dozens of images and a big full screen trailer right at the start and the logo everywhere. They've sort of kept it fairly constrained.
Right.
And very, very, consistent to the art style of the game.
That's
But whereas if you look at something like, what's a good example? Divinity, Original Sin 2. There, above the fold on the first screen that you see, is in the background the trailer. And then the logo dead in the middle, and then under that they've got all the awards they've won.
right.
And so that's a very different.
You're a better door than a window.
It's a very different style of layout.
Right.
They've got a lot more of a visual feast going on. They want to show off their game because it looks good.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Totally.
And then they do the old thing where every time you scroll even a little bit, it takes you to a whole new screen.
Yeah.
And each full screen is about one particular topic.
Yeah.
About the game, and that's an interesting way of doing it. I don't particularly like it, but
so why don't
there
you
are
like
people
it?
that do it. It's hard to say actually.
Just a personal thing?
Just a personal thing. I'm not a big fan of that style of scrolling down a page.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I can see why they do it from a developer perspective, from a design perspective. It keeps that separation between sections. It keeps it very clean.
Yeah.
Not my thing. Personally.
Fair enough. So you still haven't translated this tiny
I
little
have not.
bit of German.
I have fought with both the Translate app and
Google.
iPhone.
Just Google it.
Yeah. Google. Surely is the most straightforward, but we really have to get to the bottom of this.
So, what we're looking at on the screen at the moment, and have been while we were talking about all of that, is just compiling concept art pieces from the artists, flicking through, trying to figure out what bits are and aren't going in.
Yeah.
Setting up versions that do and don't have the logos. Getting rid of I just got rid of all the default stand-in stuff from the theme, the stock images that came with the theme.
Yep.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Yes, I am listening.
Yeah. And just uploading those into the WordPress. So we've got versions with and without the logo. So the gallery is going to have the ones with the logo, and then the ones without, which are the versions for being a background in any particular part of the page.
Mm-hmm. So I hear the music of the day. Well, good for you. I don't hear anything, but that's fantastic.
No, does that mean that something's on that shouldn't be? Or what are they trying to warn us about?
Ain't no music. I do like the logo. I love the logo.
It's great, isn't it?
It really is. It's
All right.
fierce.
Have you had a look at the new ones that Lincoln's been doing?
No, I haven't yet. I think I glimpsed over his shoulder.
Yeah. And that's another thing you want to do when you're doing a logo. You want to do many different variants for a website specifically, because you're going to have different shapes, different sizes that you want, different locations. You're going to want a tiny little one for the top, or maybe you want a really big one for the top.
Exactly.
Maybe you want a really big one for the middle of the screen. Maybe you're going to want a tiny little one to go as a signature on your posts or something.
Okay.
So there's various ways you can use these.
Okay. Well, thank you to somebody that said they could hear music. I've turned off the thing that was going in the background. But
no music.
As far as I know, there shouldn't have been music. However, let's carry on. Oh, so we're seeing a couple of images there from After the Light, which are looking very nice.
There's our header image. That's the one we're still using at
That
the
is the
moment.
header image in more ways than one. He's about to lose his in a split second.
So yeah, so one zombie taking a bullet to the face. Lincoln's little anatomical doll wearing a surgical gown, which is...
Has he got the eyeballs in there? I don't think he did.
No, he doesn't.
I'll put eyeballs on him later. He
It's
needed
unfortunate.
eyeballs. They're different sizes, which is a shame for him.
Yeah, we were talking about we should make a little widget where we can go around and put googly eyes on everything on the website.
Yes.
and we should maybe have an Easter egg in the game that puts
Googly
googly
eyes
eyes on all the zombies.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? Googly eyes are the best. In fact, I like to wear googly eyes. In fact, somebody's taken away the googly eyes.
No, they're over there.
Just so you
Well,
wouldn't
they
be
are.
tempted.
With the whiteboard pens.
I'd quite like to do the rest of the stream with googly eyes. I think we should all just
No.
do googly eyes.
No.
Because then you can't see what you're doing.
Fuck you also.
You can't actually
lame.
see that up there when you're doing it.
Oh, really? Oh,
No.
my God. Wow, news to me. Who'd
Well,
have thought?
you know, we are trying to direct it, keep it on track, and keep it about the development
That's
of the game.
not
And
really my job.
no, you're the disruptor.
The comic relief. Well,
Yeah.
attempted
The
comic
relief. Fuck, this is web development, for Christ's sake. Something has to happen.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose that's the good thing about WordPress is there's a lot of
It's not funny.
visually going on.
It needs something, because it sure ain't humorous.
Well, this is humorous in parts. I've heard parts that were
This is humorous.
Ha! Matt. Wow.
Puns.
Oh, one moment.
I'm afraid Matt has earned himself a
The
few
hat.
minutes in the punbrero for
Oh, not the punishment hat.
Could be.
No, let's not wear that on
Let's not
screen.
get Matt.
the punbrero for cracking a pun.
We have another punishment hat,
Should
but
be.
it's really very politically incorrect.
Yeah.
We mean it in the best possible way, which is
There
why
we
it's a punishment.
Indeed.
Love your style, Matt. You asked for it. Anywho,
All right. So, seems to be a big pause here, but gone off for a coffee, but back again. So, how much progress have we made at this point in the website? What have we got happening? We seem to have the gallery.
Yeah, we've got the beginnings
carousel.
of the gallery, the contact page, the blog page, and the home page. There's still a reasonable amount of stuff to go. A lot of the content needs to be finalised. We need the new logos. We want to add more concept art. We've got to set up the starting posts on the blog page. We've got to do this. We've got to set up the forum to begin with, and then start putting some stuff in that. Shortly in this thing, I'll separate the studio and watch us sections from the main page out into their own pages.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, so you're a pretty hardcore gamer. I suppose among most of us, you probably play more games than
Probably.
well, between you and Linda, I think. So I gather you've seen a lot of game websites. So what have you learnt from other game websites that we're trying to apply here?
fit as much information into a tiny space as you can and make everything really shiny and movie.
Not necessarily. I mean, there are some websites that do go for that. Sort of shovel everything into a tiny space.
Mm-hmm.
But as you were saying,
Kind of look. But
there are other examples, not so extreme.
yeah, and there's a lot of ones where you do get a lot of quote unquote white space around things, even if it is black.
Black white space.
Mm-hmm.
Black white space. Spacing. That's something I've learned. Is spacing is important.
Yeah, actually, the space between things is as important as the things.
Yeah. Yeah. What have I learned from other game websites?
So I noticed you having a look at things that were pretty stark, like the Forest website.
Yeah.
But also you had another couple of websites up there that you were.
Oh yeah, there was there were a few really interesting ones to me. The new Vermintide website is fantastic.
Okay.
Absolutely fantastic. It's a visual feast. It's not overcrowded. It's really it is really separated. They have some pretty cool little button features to have a look at different versions of each of the characters. They've got nice looping little movies spread out throughout the page. Some of them have some interesting action in them. Some of them are just sort of an idle somewhere, and they look great. And one of the things that really stood out to me in that page, though, was the titles. Everything that had a title, it was sort of this glowing orangey red, fantastic thing, and all the rest of the text was just sort of normal whitish grey, and they really made those stand out. And
Yeah.
go, you better
You
fucking
really
read
want to,
me.
yeah. 'Cause that's the thing, isn't it? Is there anything on a website that you want people to see, you want people to engage with, you want them to click on it? It's got to look like fucking click me.
Yeah. I think at some point I'm gonna hopefully convince Lincoln to take the Toymaker font that he's used to create that logo, because it's multiple layers with effects all over it, and make a full alphabet, and then we can put together our own titles using that.
Indeed.
And that's gonna look great.
Absolutely. That's a fantastic idea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Lincoln will take too much persuading.
No, I don't think he will. The other thing that I really want to look at doing is making some really nice button sprites, and figure out some good animations for them.
Yeah.
Something steampunky. What I've sort of got in my head is maybe like a plaque kind of thing that you'd see with someone's name on it, with the little gold border.
Yep.
And when you hover over it, the background changes a bit. And when you click on it, maybe there's some cogs on the end that spin.
Groovy shit.
Yeah, and that would look great.
Because as we were saying, we're kind of designing this house about face a little bit, so we're getting in the structure of it, and the guts of it, and the basic content of it, and then we're going to massage it.
Brutally beat it into shape.
That's
with
right,
a baseball
yes.
bat.
That's just what we mean by massage. We're going to massage it with a bat.
Yeah.
With nails on it.
Very good. So I can see all sorts of bits of concept art going up on the site. Some of it a bit. There's a bit of differences in art style there. I noticed now stuff. Does that actually matter?
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I had a discussion with you about this. You seemed to make the case that it didn't really matter that there were differences in art style and the concept art.
Yeah, I guess it only really matters if there's differences in art style in the game.
Yeah.
That would certainly make a difference.
I mean,
yes.
the point of the concept art is to be able to show the modelers and the animators how things are actually going to look in the long run, isn't it? So
Okay.
Yeah, so we're starting the separate page here for the studio stuff. That was actually a pain to try and get the columns working correctly on this particular page.
Why was that?
Well, it was just a case of learning the way this particular system works and how they do their columns.
Yep.
Because when you squished it down to mobile size, for some reason the text column was this wide.
Right. Okay. That's
Yeah.
useful
No.
for one-letter words, depending on how much padding you have. Fucking eh.
It took a bit of fiddling to get it in the right place, but we got there in the end.
Cool. Now what?
Research. I probably went off to talk to someone about
Okay.
pictures, or I don't know, something like that.
So that was the gap in the movie. What's the gap in our talking about?
I don't know. Say something. You're Australian. You should be talking a lot. You should be swearing a lot. We've been through this.
Just don't talk about cricket.
Oh, God. Thanks, Matt.
I don't follow the cricket.
So there is this is an earlier issue with the columns where because it's in each of the columns, I've actually stuck the text inside a box, and the boxes have a container element on them, which gives them a fixed width. So it's exceeding the it's exceeding what it should do. Those two things should be essentially half the page each, but the text is overflowing.
Oh, okay.
It took a bit of figuring out to work out that it was actually the box that I'd put it in, and that it didn't need a box.
All right.
The thing about web development is there are so many ways of doing things that you can fuck yourself up quite easily and then have to backtrack
Yeah.
5 hacks to...
I mean, in this particular case, it's just learning this editor.
Yeah.
Which I think I've got a pretty good handle around now.
You know that you don't need boxes.
Boxes are useful for some things.
Oh, fuck.
If it's a full width section, then you
Yep.
want to use a box.
Right.
If it's not a full width section, you don't use a box.
Well,
Okay.
that's a good learning curve to have that thing gone up, climbed, yes, achieved.
So what's the use of fixed width anyway these days, where everything's got to be responsive and adaptive?
It's a fixed width at certain screen sizes.
Okay.
So it changes. It is responsive, although it's not flexible.
Okay. It's been many years since I had anything to do with web development,
Me too.
but yeah.
Oh yes, this was the silly privacy policy thing.
What's silly about it? It was just annoying.
It was so setting up a plugin here for a little pop-up that tells you about cookies, because that's required under EU law. Any website that's going to be available in the EU has to have this thing.
Okay.
This particular website was linked in that plugin as a place where you can get the cookie policy for
Right.
free. Not free.
Okay.
It's not free.
Okay.
Yeah, so we do need to sort out a privacy policy at some point that does talk about cookies.
So I think the New Zealand business website actually has a privacy statement generator.
Oh, okay.
So
You'll have to
that's
send that to
probably
me.
probably the place to go for that privacy statement. I think it's more about, it's not so much about the cookies per se, but about for the data you're collecting, you have to specify the data you are collecting, and then why you are collecting it. So
Yep.
what is the data going to be used for? Like, will it be given to third parties, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So so any website in New Zealand is supposed to have a privacy policy whenever they collect data. So whenever you can register or log in or whatever, you need to have that privacy policy in place.
So,
But it's nice that the government provides a way to get one.
so at what point do we think that one should start developing a website for a game?
Ooh. It's tricky to
When
say.
there's a bit of concept art and
Well,
art style?
I mean, you could, if you've nailed down, that you're going to do this, you've got something ready to go, something visual. You could have a one-page website that just has that on it and coming soon,
Yep.
and people are going to look at it and go, "Oh, what is it?"
And then you'd better be ready to have something soon
Yeah,
to add to it.
not in Valve time.
Indeed.
So so I guess this is like the minimum viable product
Yeah.
idea, which is as soon as you've got something to show, you show it, take feedback, adapt and change as necessary.
Absolutely.
And from our point of view, that means we're developing or gathering a community right from the very outset. So generally, the earlier people can involve themselves and give suggestions, the more they actually end up bonded to the game, the more they end up actually, enthusiastic and
Absolutely.
engaged.
The wonderful thing about all this digital stuff is that nothing's really carved in stone, so you can tear it apart and start again if you so desire, or make small changes as you wish,
Yeah.
as you have the resources generally.
So that fellow there with no head in the foreground on the left is Elias Tapp. So he's there.
Somebody already shot his head off.
It's
and
just,
somebody put it back on.
Yeah.
just it seems to be covered up by the menus.
I don't even know if it's on that piece
I
of
don't think it
concept
is.
art.
Okay. Yes, so
This is
he's
all about the
actually the
zombies
player
here.
character in the game, so that will be you when you're playing the game.
Why do I always get into the chair and start yawning?
I don't know, I think it's whenever that thing is off, it's
No,
just...
I can yawn at any time.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I get
Maybe
seriously
these chairs
sleepy
are too
under here.
comfortable.
Maybe they are.
It's just
Maybe
the
you need
best
to sit on the
chairs.
floor.
Maybe we need to sit on a spike.
No.
The best chairs in the world. Or are they just a tribute?
Fuck. Wow.
that
To
was
the
terrible.
best chairs in the world.
That was awful.
That was terrible.
Sorry, it wasn't a pun though. So
No.
no punishment.
Deserves some sort of punishment. I can't believe how badly that hat's
Pelt
worn.
him with Nerf darts.
Yeah. Later
That's
on.
already happened. It's
Yeah.
already happened.
So yeah, this will be a point where I'm doing a lot of research.
Okay. Well, it's paused at a nice spot, so you've got the website in view.
Yeah.
You can actually pick apart that image and have a look. So this is inside one of Lincoln's caves, and this is obviously quite an early image here because we had some level of, because we seem to have some level of moonlight actually happening there because we've got the blues and purples, plus we've got fire, brazier, and generally those things are separated in the game. So you have moonlight levels or you have firelit levels. You don't really have both together. Now you're off and away again.
There we go. This is that Sketchfab thing.
Yes.
So this is being able to load the 3D model with animations on the page that people can move it around and whatnot.
That is so cool.
It's going to be great.
So we're going to do this with our zombies, right? Well, the zombie
Absolutely.
that,
We need to get them hooked up to the idle animations first.
do we just need one, or should we put them all up there? Because we do have to leave something for the game for people as well.
Something for the imagination.
Well, I reckon we put 3 or 4 up there, and they can select between that, and then maybe they can select between 3 or 4 different animations per zombie.
So this is another thing about deciding what you're going to put on the website or any on social media or on Twitch or whatever, is deciding what you're going to put out into the wild and what you're going to keep.
What's a spoiler and what's not?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, so far, I guess at this stream, at the website, everything's a spoiler. So,
We just put it all out there.
yeah. So you're learning an awful lot about the game and what's going to be in the game, how the game is built, etc. So yeah, privilege due. Hopefully, there's still an audience out there that won't know everything that's going to happen before they play the game.
Well, it's nothing like actually playing a game, though. No matter
True.
how much of it you've seen.
Very true.
I know it says up there PC and VR, but we are going to try and port this to console at some point, aren't we?
We are. We're going to try and put this on PlayStation and PlayStation VR.
Are we going to try and put it on mobile VR? Mobile VR with a Bluetooth controller?
I'm not sure. If the numbers work and there's not too much technical difficulty. The thing about it is we've really gone down the path of let's make it the most beautiful PC and console game that we can make. And therefore
we
there
have.
are lots of particle effects, lots of lighting things that actually happen.
Yeah.
There's waterfalls and water effects, fireflies and all glowworms, all those sorts of things actually happening in the game that are all basically making a huge amount of use of the CPU. So putting it on a phone might just be a little
too much.
On the other hand, we might be able to optimise a version for phone.
We might be able to.
It's true, and that depends entirely on whether the numbers stack up. But just looking at those flames, I see the sparks that fly out of the flames, there's smoke that pours off the flames, there's a heat shimmer around the flames. So there's a whole lot of layers to it, because the one thing we really, really wanted was that this would be a beautiful game to be in, or to be part of.
And so far, it really, really is.
Indeed.
I don't
Indeed.
even like VR, and I like getting inside it.
I wish we could put everybody that's watching in a headset and just show them. I think that's just how impressive, how those caves actually feel when you hear the little bit of wind or the trickling water and the dripping water.
Dragging of tiny zombie feet.
Yes. Although we haven't got that at the moment, have we?
No.
No. We need to actually catalogue some of the sounds that we need.
Are
We
you
were
saying
supposed to
that,
have
are you saying that we need a tiny zombie?
We should have tiny zombie.
I feel like that would get the game a higher ERSB rating.
Yeah, there's meant
Yes.
to be a child zombie.
Yes.
That's what I mean. A child zombie.
Midget zombie?
Midget zombie.
Yes.
Seems to work.
Model
Well,
it-
it would
we
be
should- we should
un-PC to
model it
leave them
off,
out, to be fair.
Of Peter Dinklage.
Perfect. Well, he's a dwarf, though.
He's
so
in everything, that guy.
He is.
He is.
I'm sure he'd love to be in this.
He was in, what was it called? 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri?
Yep.
That was a great movie.
That was a great movie, and he's very
Great
good in
movie.
it.
If you haven't seen it, then you've probably missed it at the theatres now. Go and get it out. Or download it
Go
from
and
somewhere.
get it out. That's like
Yeah,
20 years ago.
that's old school. Yeah, go and get it out on video. No, there's no video. Well, not many video shops left. Yes,
Prehistoric-
download it from somewhere. It was a
prehistoric
really good
ruins
movie.
now.
Actually, I still go to Alice's. I went to Alice's the other day and got a DVD.
Alice in Videoland.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, and that
Yeah, there's
they
the,
are old
there's the
school.
text problem
There's
that I was
your
talking
issue.
about.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
All right.
Yeah, Alice's are old school, aren't they?
Yeah, it's really great though because you can go back. You can get they've got a copy of Metropolis there. They've got all these old videos.
Well, they actually have things that you can't get online.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, and a complete collection, absolutely complete collection of New Zealand movies. So every New Zealand movie that's ever made is in there. That's fantastic.
I think it's extraordinary, really, that it's possible to have movies that aren't online these days. Quite amazing. I just
Indeed.
always imagine that everything is online.
What was that video store, that online video store that was doing so well for so long with that the guy with the ponytail?
Fat something.
Was it Fatso?
Fatso.
Fatso.
I don't remember.
Yep.
It was an online video store. Just was still working up until a couple of years ago, and now it's sort of disappeared.
Yeah. Yes, DVDs delivered to your door.
Yeah, I think they still deliver because I think a friend of mine actually gets them, but the advertising for it certainly dropped away
Maybe they just don't need it.
because rather than waiting 3 days for New Zealand Post to deliver it to you, you can
Jump on the old fibre.
indeed suck it down. All right.
So it looks like what you were doing was just making sure that everything is optimised for different resolutions.
Yeah. Mobile and desktop and
Yep.
tablet and whatever.
So you just check as you go,
Sometimes.
as you've done a section.
Sometimes. Sometimes I'll just do a whole bunch of stuff and then come back to it later and go, right, does this actually work now? Okay, do this, do this, do this.
Yep.
Fix it. It's broken.
Oh fuck.
So again, that iteration, that loop that seems to happen with the artists as well as do something, test it, do something, test it.
Yeah.
And that's the way the website from the beginning to the end stays responsive.
Yep.
Responsive for those responsive and adaptive for those who don't know is the ability of the website to actually suit different sizes of screens. So to fit on everything from your mobile through to your PC. And that turns out to be quite a trick because often content sort of has to fold around other bits of content, just so that everything stays readable but stays contained and neat.
Yeah.
Another
We
lovely
might
description.
we might have a video on your website that's next to a block of text on desktop. If you go to mobile, you can't do that. You want your video to be full size because otherwise it's just too small. So you
Absolutely.
move the block of text either above it or under it.
Yep.
Or you might
For
hide
sure.
it entirely. Quite a lot of stuff will do that, is turn things on and off
Mhm.
as you go up and down sizes.
Yep.
I just realised showing all my tabs up there to the.
No, you won't.
Well, I wasn't showing it on that screen, but if we swapped over for any reason, we would.
Mm-hmm.
So I always try to keep them off.
You're still showing all your bookmarks.
And I should... Yes, well, we can't help that. That's too difficult. Except you can hide that menu, can't you?
Yes, you
But
can.
then I always get confused about how you get it back. And you've got no help once you've got your menu off the
Control
screen.
B.
Okay,
Well, there you go, the
I'll-
web guy.
I'll remember that for today. And I'll have to ask again tomorrow. Yeah.
And
Okay.
ask the resident web guy.
Mm.
So yeah, we probably could have done a few chops in this before we speeded it or
Probably could
speeded
have.
it up.
I probably should have done a lot more of the research in this browser.
Yeah. I guess the research is important, and I've tried to encourage everybody to actually show that they're actually researching when we make these movies, because what people don't realise, especially when they're students, is they think that we're all the experts and they're the ones stuck using Google all the time and making painfully slow progress because they have to stop and look things up. But that is in fact everybody. It might change levels a bit. So the experts might remember a lot more, but they'll also try a lot more. So they'll still have to use Google. They still have to get involved with research there. Almost anything we have to do, somebody will end up hitting Google and having to work something out. Sergi, expert modeler and sculptor, frequently, like the other day, using research to sort of sort out how hair would work on Cross-Eyed Joe. So yeah, if you're out there making games, don't be concerned that you're spending a lot of time doing research. Everybody does it, and even when you're an expert, you'll still be doing it.
Oh, you're always looking to push yourself to try something new, to look at what other people are doing and go, what can I take away from this? How can I improve what I'm doing based on what I see other people doing?
Absolutely, and how does that improve what I'm doing?
Yeah. What techniques are other people using on their websites for games that I can take away and go, okay, this works really well for us, or maybe this bit doesn't work so well, but I like this and I want to take that.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's one of the most important things actually in any of these sort of roles, whether it's art or code, but is how good a learner you are.
Yeah.
And that means a willingness to learn and a confidence about learning, and then the ability to actually take it on board and make it useful.
So when we interview people, it's one of the primary questions, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we always want to know how willing people are to actually extend themselves to take on new stuff.
And how good they are at it.
Yeah. So we've, from the early days of the studio, we've always had lynda.com accounts and things like that for people to actually learn some stuff. We've always made sure we've had good internet, even when the provider didn't necessarily want to collaborate with us.
And the GDC vaults.
Yeah, GDC vaults. Actually, that's a great resource for anybody out there doing games. I think after the GDC finishes, for the rest of that year, the content is only of that year's GDC talks are only available to people that went or who pay for access to the vaults. But for all the other years, so all the years previous to that, there are all these movies there that are basically the keynote talks, the presentations, all the rest of it that actually happened at GDC for those years. You can look at and read, and there are some great things that actually go on in there that can really teach you a lot about how some of the bigger studios, or even how some of the smaller agile studios are actually doing stuff.
And it's all over the shop. It's all about everything from design and development to the culture and art and music, project management, you name it.
Yeah.
All aspects of production, marketing, crowdfunding.
Yeah.
Everything.
So you can go in and you can learn how Bethesda actually did a level editor for Fallout 4. How they actually did the tile snapping and all the rest of it involved in that. It was just completely put out there for everybody to absorb. So the GDC vaults, look it up online.
So after that happy little shout out to GDC Vault, it's just about
all right,
time
anything
that
you want to finish with, Matt, because we're about 2 minutes from the end of the stream.
Yeah. I mean, there is a lot still to go on this website.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot still to go, and there's a lot that hasn't been decided still. Every website is always a work in progress. Doesn't matter how much you've done to it. There's always more that you can do.
Absolutely.
Indeed, websites should be organic. They should have fresh content, all the rest of it. And it's a real shame when people think, just have the attitude that, okay, I've got a finished website, now I can go out and do my marketing. Your website should be the way you're actually communicating to your market. So, it's a shame if you don't keep your website refreshed and updated. Say the people that actually develop websites for
So
people.
we shall now go away and live up to our own hype.
Yes, we shall. Yes, we shall,
Shall
because
we?
our Stickmen Media website is rubbish at the moment. It really needs a refresh and an update. All right, so you've been watching Margaret and Brooke and Matt from Stickmen Media talking about the development of our game After the Light, zombie survival horror game. And Matt has been telling us all about developing the website support for the game. So we'll see you again. It's Easter weekend, so we'll see you again on Tuesday at 1 o'clock. So no broadcast tomorrow, no broadcast Monday. Complete public holiday here. So we'll see you Tuesday at 1 o'clock when we'll have a stream on something that I am as yet unaware of. Okay, so bye for now. I'll just find my software and turn it off. See you later.